I'm driving around the ferry terminal in Wrangell, Alaska. This video was taken before I left to go to Eugene, Oregon. But since I'm coming back to Wrangell, I thought I would put together a video to show you what downtown looks like. And this was a beautiful sunny day, and so we can actually see the scenery. This street is mostly residential, but we'll be turning down to what is the main street that runs through town. This is the library coming up on our left. When Tyler and I first moved to town, we used to come in here to use the internet all the time, and they also have a nice book selection. We're going to turn here. That's the back of the post office, and we'll be coming around the front. We don't have postal service in town, so everybody has a P.O. box, and we just have to come in and pick up our mail and packages. One thing that can be a real hassle is that oftentimes a shipper will want a physical address, but none of us in town have a recognized physical address. So what we learned is that sometimes we can put down the address of the post office and put our P.O. box number down as the apartment, and then as long as our name's on the package, the people at the post office can make sure that we can get our mail. The brown building on the left here is called Angerman's, and it's a clothing and sporting goods store. And now we're going to turn onto Front Street, where most of the businesses in town are located. This next green building is a gift shop. This brick building is Bunas Brothers, where they sell furniture and appliances and things. And then there's a telephone company and a dental office on the corner. Addison's True Value is one of two hardware stores in town. The brown building coming up is a liquor store and bar. And set back beside is J&W's, where they sell burgers and fries and shakes. The tall blue building is a clothing store called 56 Degrees North. In this older photo, it's a gift shop, and it's not uncommon to see businesses kind of come and go in town. The building with the green awning is a drugstore, and the one next to it is an art gallery that doesn't have regular hours. Michelle's Taste of Asia is a restaurant that I sold basil to. Tucked beside is an upholstery place, then an insurance place. The building with burgundy trim is a hair salon, and this is a new coffee and tea place. That red door needs a sign. Groundswell sells locally made items. And now we're passing Zach's Cafe. And this little building is the veterinarian, and he puts out a big yellow sign when he's in town. Century is the other hardware store in town. It seems like we have two each of every type of business. These two buildings here handle taxes. Alaska Marine Lines is one of two shipping companies in town, and they also sell propane. This is Remy's Bar here on the corner. And in my opinion, they have the very best sign in town. This is the spillover area where the port puts smaller boats, like these gill netters that are hauled out for the winter. This building is where my storefront was located. Inside part of it is a laundromat and showers, and at the far end is a storefront. The new owner took over my business, and it's now called Twisted Root Market. Coming up here on the left is a blue building, and it's called the Marine Bar, and they also sell pizza. This bridge goes out to a tiny island called Shakes Island. The people who are indigenous to this area are the Tlingit, and their chief was named Shakes. They've maintained this tribal house, and there were also totems on the island, which have since been taken down for repair. A lot of people on the island have Tlingit ancestry. There are 3 main harbors in town, and this one is called Reliance Harbor. And when you move your boat around the corner, then you go into what's called the Inner Harbor, and that's where we used to live on our boat. And then when you go a couple miles out of town, there's a new harbor, and it's called Heritage. And then about 5 miles out of town is a harbor called Shoemaker, and that one is being refurbished right now. I'm driving on this wood-planked platform, so the camera is hopping around. That is the port office building. You can see the snow-covered mountains on the mainland behind that blue building to the left there. That's the Trident housing for the fish plant workers. This is the Trident main office. This is the first of 3 entrances to the boatyard. This is where boats are hauled out and repaired. That entrance and the one coming up here on the left are normally closed because they were having a lot of problems with people driving through and doing the looky-loo thing and creating a safety hazard. So that's the next entrance there that's closed off. You have to go around the back to get in. This business here up on the left is mostly sells outboard motors and things like that. This is one of 2 larger grocery stores in town. This one's called City Market. You'll notice that liquor is always sold in a separate storefront in the building in the grocery stores. The building coming up here houses a number of different businesses, including GCI, which is our local internet provider, and a pizza place, and a clothing store. This next building is a Native Cultural Center. Once marijuana was legalized in Alaska, this place that used to be a restaurant started selling weed instead. I don't think I've ever been in this building. I don't know what's in there. This building with all the windows houses a number of businesses, including a credit union and the Forest Service offices. On the corner is our newspaper, The Sentinel, an open pavilion for 4th of July booths, one of 2 banks in town. The Elks Lodge is in this big building here on the left, and you can get dinner there if you're a member. The little building coming up is a gas station, one of 2 in town. The other is farther out the road. This is the other section of Ottison's True Value hardware store across the street where they have building materials. There's a Napa Auto Parts store in that blue building right there, but we're going to circle back and take a look at that area later. Right now we're going to turn down this street that runs along the waterfront because there's a few more businesses down this road. Got small public restrooms right there, and then there's a rust-colored building coming up. That's a chiropractor's office, and that big kind of yellow boxy building is a community services building. Right there is the City Hall. We'll come around and take a look at that. Bob's IGA is the other larger grocery store in town. It was just sold. They owned that store for decades, and Bob and Bobby just sold that business, and it'll be now called Wrangell IGA. This is the Nolan Center come up here. This has a museum and gift shop and a conference center, and it also doubles as our movie theater. If you take a right at this intersection past the Nolan Center, you'll drive onto a road that goes to that 3rd entrance to the boatyard, and this back gate is always open. Right now we're looking at the rear end of City Market, and then we're going to pull in through the entrance to the boatyard. You'll see these big tent-like structures, and they hold boats that need to be worked on out of the weather. This is a city-owned facility, and so most of these structures are different trades that lease a space from the city. Tyler has his machine shop in this boatyard, but he does not like to have his privacy invaded with photographs and video, so we are not going to point out his shop and do the grand tour. There was a television show a few years back that featured this boatyard and the people who worked here, but Tyler refused to sign up for that. This is the area of the waterfront where the travel lift goes out and picks boats out of the water and then props them up where they can get worked on, and then picks them back up and takes them out and plops them back in the water. We were just looking at the small lift, and we're going to turn around here and you get a view of the large lift that was purchased by the city, and it can lift bigger boats. It's that red lift up ahead. That was a tour of the boatyard. Now back, going past the Nolan Center at that intersection, we're going to turn left this time. You'll see First Bank coming up here, and that's our second bank that we have in town. Past the IGA grocery store is City Hall, and that's where the offices are for the city and borough of Wrangell. The city of Wrangell somewhat recently expanded to become a borough, and they gained jurisdiction over some outlying areas on Wrangell Island, and also, for example, Olive Cove, which is to the west on Evelyn Island, and even Myers Chuck, which is quite a ways south on the mainland. This area up ahead with all of the shipping containers is where the barge comes in and docks and unloads. It comes all the way up from Seattle and stops in Wrangell once a week. Most of our town's food and other supplies come in by barge. You can get some things on the airplane, and I covered the airport in a previous video. The second shipping company in town, called Sampson Tug and Barge, is located on the left up here, and this is where I would come in every week and pick up my produce and groceries for the little store I owned. We're going to turn left up here. We're back to where we started on Front Street. Up ahead is a cul-de-sac where there are a number of tour businesses, most of them only open during the summertime. And right here is the Stikine Inn, which has a bunch of hotel rooms, and they have a restaurant, but it's only open during the summers. But the coffee shop is open summer and winter. I took a video when I came down here one day to get a coffee when it was overcast and raining. I like to sit here at the Alaska Vistas little office coffee shop, and they're closed down. All these little businesses are closed down for the winter time. Actually, Breakaway stays open. They take people all over the place during the winter time, so but some of these are just open during the summertime. And then I can look out. Get out of the view. So kind of pretty. There's the mountain back there. This is me drinking my coffee